The Utah Jazz had won 8 of 10. The Denver Nuggets had won 8 of 10. The Denver Nuggets are the NBA champions. The Utah Jazz blasted them. This game wasn't close. A blowout win in Salt Lake City for the Utah Jazz, and we're talking about it next on POSTCAST. David Locke, along with Ron Boone, as the Utah Jazz stunningly blow out the Denver Nuggets. 124-111. If you're just tuning in and you want to know what happened, and you see the final score is not as close. The game was not as close as the final score. Final score is a mirage. The Jazz started the night by outscoring the Denver Nuggets starters 25-11. The Denver Nuggets starters are plus 20 per 100 possessions. They're the best starting five in the NBA. They play the most minutes of any group. And the Jazz led the game by 11 at the end of one. The Nuggets caught it down to 6, and then the starters came back in the game, and the Jazz blasted them again, 21-9 to close the second quarter. And the Jazz led by 18 at the half. And the Jazz, with 3:57 left in that second quarter, hit a three that made it an 11-point game, and never again was the game ever inside single digits. And the Jazz led by 20 points for most of the night. They led by double digits for over 40 minutes of the night, I believe. They crushed the Denver Nuggets, who were not on a back end of a back-to-back, who do not have any injuries, who do not have an altitude problem, who do not have a single explanation of what happened to them tonight other than the Utah Jazz kicked their you-know-what. Wow.
I don't need to add any more to that.
Holy.
That was well said, because that's exactly what happened. And it's remarkable on how the Jazz have so much confidence in their game, regardless of who they're playing. That first quarter, outscoring them by 11 points in that first quarter. And as you mentioned, this just never looked back. I mean, was able to outscore them in the paint. I mean, those are the areas that the Jazz struggle with sometimes with teams. But I just couldn't believe how, and I have to talk to Will sometime to see, or maybe even Scott Morrison, about what they were able to do to the front line there of the Denver Nuggets with Gordon and Porter.
Let me go big picture just here for a second. We're 19-20. It's the exact same record the Jazz had last year.
Yes.
We are 15-9, I think, in our last 26 games. Prior to that 15-9 run, we were awful. Ron, yes. I was legitimately scared that we were going to go to Detroit and lose when they were on a 24-game losing streak, and that we were going to go to San Antonio and be on a 23-game losing streak. We played the Detroit Pistons, and the Detroit Pistons were favored to beat us. That was not that long ago. What has happened?
It's who knows? We have to listen to the coach. I mean, what we're seeing is just the talent level is a little bit different as far as the Jazz and their opponents, but the way the Jazz are playing the game and the way they're defending teams now are making it difficult for teams to beat them. I think the key to playing any team in the NBA is to stay in the basketball game, make your opponents play one of their better basketball games in order to beat you. And I think that's probably what we're seeing right now.
Zach Peterson on our chat somewhere just said this reminds him of when Rubio got hurt, checked back in Detroit, made the pass, and then the next night hit the three in Toronto, and the Jazz went on this incredible 20-game run. Yeah. I am a very big believer in one thing here, and that is whenever the NBA schedule comes out, I always look for a soft spot. Can you find where the schedule gives you like 3 or 4 wins so that if you suddenly go 6 and 7 and you believe and you can get rolling? We've seen plenty of teams that aren't that good that suddenly believe they're good and then they just roll. This team now believes it's good.
Yes.
They believe they're really good. They've won 9 of 11. Will Hardy's got them bought into this, like, all of you have strengths. All of you can play your own thing, and we're going to do it together, and you're going to have to sacrifice, but it's going to be worth it because we're going to win, and they're totally have bought into it. And some of it's because they got to play San Antonio, Detroit, and these teams that weren't very good in a very close proximity, and they got a little lucky that Joel Embiid didn't play in Philly, and but in the meantime, they went and beat Miami, and they beat Brooklyn, and they beat New York, and they just whooped the Denver Nuggets.
So what as long as you're winning and things are going well, and the game plans are working, and the key there is trusting the game plan, and it's not a lot you can say. What we're seeing is as you mentioned, remarkable, but it's just the way they're getting it done. It's just Gordon. I think Jordan Clarkson enjoying coming off the bench.
Yeah, he looks.
He's playing a role to the point where he was sixth man of the year.
Well, Will Hardy was super interesting in the pregame today about how Jordan had the ball too much in his hands initially in possessions.
Early in the clock.
And he's far better if he can get lost in the possession, bend the defense, and have them lose him somewhere along the way, and then come up with the basketball in a possession, and it's a better use of it. Will has just done an incredible job of, frankly, a team that looked like none of the puzzle pieces belonged together at all, finding a way to make these puzzle pieces work. Let Collins start, and that puzzle piece works when he's playing with Chris Dunn, who lets him never have to, Chris Dunn's the puzzle piece that now fits. It's crazy.
Play hard and pass the ball.
Right, and if you wear the Utah Jazz uniform, give a beep about the Utah Jazz. Like the line in the sand he drew when we were 4-11 in Portland, it's wow.
Well, let's keep it going.
All right, what did they do against Jokic tonight? Let's get into. I mean, we're kind of big picture, but what did they do tonight? This show is ideally supposed to be about
what
the
they were trying to do and what they wanted to do. They worked on in practice this morning. Usually, when you want to double team a player, you wait till he puts the ball on the floor, then you run at him and double team. They wanted to go and double team him early and force him to pass the basketball. And they were able to do it a couple of times, but whenever Jokic wants to score, he'll go down on the block. He'll go down there and he'll use his body and all that kind of stuff. But I really think they found a way to take away the effectiveness of the front line. Porter, who's their 3-point shooter, and it takes more 3-point shots anyway than anybody on the team. He didn't exist tonight. I mean, 1 for 3 from the 3-point line. He only got 9 shots in 24 minutes. Gordon, who's a very respectable rebounder and scorer in transition. Between those two guys, 17 points. They have to get more than that from those guys in order to complement Murray and Jokic.
Sometimes the hardest things to see in a game, particularly as a broadcaster, are things that don't happen.
Good point.
So let's go to pregame. Scott Morrison says we're going to double team Jokic, and we've got to make sure he doesn't get assists to cutters. In other words, if he wants to pass back out to 3-point shooters, we'll try to close. We'll live with that. They did not. They hit 39%. They were 13 to 33. But we do not want to give him cutters. 1 assist to a cutter the entire night. Tip of the hat to Leaf Tulane, who was on our stats doing that tonight. 1 assist to cutters all night long by the Denver Nuggets.
There you go. There's the game plan right there. And as a result, Jokic only had 6 assists for the night.
The other thing this team has done, if we go back, again, Scott Morrison is so incredibly valuable. It's why you should listen to our radio broadcast. Scott Morrison, we talked about after the loss in New Orleans, how poor the Jazz had been at getting the player they wanted engaged defensively into the offense. They just were not they were supposed to engage Zion and make him play defense. They didn't do it all night long. And then tonight, they played pick and roll and made Jokic involved. Tonight, they played and had Michael Porter Jr. defending out on the floor. You've got to find your edge. Get into the paint on your edge and then play off of that. And that's what this team's begun to do offensively. They weren't doing earlier.
Well, you heard Colin Sexton talk about the game plan and trusting in each other. And when you do that, I mean, good things happen. Good things happen. If it doesn't happen, then it's on the coaches now. You got to change our approach and change our game plan on how we want to play this game. Everything varies from team to team. And we saw this the last 2 ball games anyway, with playing the Milwaukee Bucks and now playing the Denver Nuggets. Only thing that was the same was how they wanted to defend Giannis and how they wanted to defend Jokic.
You look at the box score tonight. Walker plays the fewest minutes, I think, at 15. Maybe Abaji played 13. So we're doing the same thing every night with 10 guys. Lauri's the only one playing 32. And everyone else is playing between 15 and 28. This is kind of unheard of in this league, Ron.
It is. And I'm glad you brought up Lauri. I mean, I'm sorry. I wanted to bring up Kessler.
Yeah.
Points in the paint. And trying to remember my prep here. I thought that Denver was averaging somewhere in 60-something
probably, yeah,
points in the paint. Pretty close to leading the league and scoring in the paint. And they only get 40 points in the paint tonight. Jazz outscored them 54.
Wow.
So that is because of I think Porter and Gordon.
That's no assists on cutters.
Yes, there we go.
The biggest story of the night is the Jazz beat the Denver starters by 25 points.
Yeah, that's huge.
That's the story of the night. Denver plays the most minutes of any team in the league with their starters, and they beat them by 25 points. They beat their starters by 25 who are plus 20 per 100 points. Ron, I don't know that we're allowed to go home. We have 2 times our regular audience right now. Jazz Nation is fired up. I know it's 11 o'clock at night, but we have 2 times our regular audience. They want more Ron Boone. They want more cowbell. Is that a 90s? Cowbell was 90s.
Cowbell was 90s.
I want more cowbell. I should have used that in the broadcast. I waited for How About Them Apples till the final
Cowboys
big call of the night.
Sacramento, California.
All right.
Sacramento Kings.
I had a plan all night long to give this guy a star. I think I'm going to be laughed off the broadcast for doing it. And it's probably not quite as good as I think it was. So I maybe talk about him instead of giving him a star, but I really wanted to give him a star. I thought Simone Fontecchio's defense on Jamal Murray might have been the most important thing in this whole game.
Mm-hmm.
You don't agree at all. I mean, they're playing a 2-man game, and if Murray doesn't get going, then they can't. Like, Murray never got going tonight. Murray actually didn't look healthy tonight to me. He didn't get off the ground very well. He looked like the length of Fontecchio bothered him. He couldn't get free. He couldn't get a step back. I didn't think Murray looked good. I thought Fontecchio unnerved Jamal Murray. Chris Dunn, and how about Chris Dunn and Simone Fontecchio? Chris Dunn picked up Jamal Murray on the first possession of the game, the minute he crossed half court. Like, I am in your beep all night long. And then Fontecchio later in the game was in his beep as well. Like, I thought those 2 guys, and maybe that's what's actually changed about this team, is that those 2 guys are playing defense, and Sexton's playing hard, and you got guys in the starting lineup, in the main lineup, that are playing that kind of basketball because we didn't have that earlier. You're not buying that at all. He didn't buy that at all. He didn't buy that even a little tiny bit. Come on. A little bit? Why did Jamal Murray go what did Jamal Murray do today? Stop shaking. 6 of 15.
15.
How many free throws did he take? 4. He did nothing tonight. That's why their starters were minus 27.
So you just want to give him a star. Let's give him a star.
I mean, no, but don't you think that was a huge part of this game that we actually were able to D up on Jamal Murray?
Okay. Let's give him a star and give it to Colin Sexton.
No, Chris Dunn, they don't deserve stars. But I wanted to give him credit.
You wanted to give him credit. I like that. Okay.
All right.
Clarkson and Markkanen, what do you think? Clarkson and Sexton.
We're just right. Clarkson was great. Clarkson put the dagger in. Lauri's the superstar.
Yeah.
Like, Lauri put up a monster night, and he guarded Jokic for part of the night.
Yeah. Everybody had a very good night, and it's
but
very
if your
difficult.
2 stars combined to go 18 of 32, you win.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? All right. Jordan.
Markkanen.
Lauri. Huge audience. Thank you. Largest audience of the year. Jazz have won 9 of 11. It's late at night. It's totally crazy. Ron's past his bedtime. He wants out. I should host another show and just stick around and hang out with you guys all night, but I got to go to bed too. It's snowing and my drive home may suck, but I'll be happy and smiling and enjoying it. Thank you all very much for tuning in. Jazz are home Friday, Saturday, Monday, Wednesday. What is it?
We're
home.
We got Friday, Saturday, Monday.
And then back to back.
Yeah, we got Friday. We got Toronto, LA Lakers, Indiana, Golden State.
Friday, Saturday.
And Oklahoma City.
Yeah, so Friday, Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. 5 games, 7 nights. Get out here. Come to Delta Center. Join us. Watch this team. It's crazy. It's unrecognizable, frankly. I'm flabbergasted. Tomorrow's Lockdown Jaws would be why Locke has no idea what's going on. I'll need to be re-educated on the NBA. Thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the like button, says Lacey. She's right. I should be promoting that. You guys are the best. Have a good night.